Alright, hello and welcome back to Let's Play yet another no-name main game. Today's no-name main game is, of course, Verse Block Breaker. Got an interesting one-player, two-player game. Unfortunately, we'll go with one player. Have you ever looked into the face of madness and just wondered, like, what would you see? Well, I'm not gonna say a weasel with a plastic bag over his head is exactly the face of madness. I can't help but imagine that it's somewhat related to that. So, the controls are a nice, simple roll dial, which you control by spinning. I've worked around that, of course, and you've got the first button makes your little guy jump. No other buttons seem to do anything. As you can see, it's a fairly standard Arkanoid clone, focusing more on making things crazy insane than... God, there's a weasel in the corner. How do you not see the weasel? That's what this game's gimmick is. Insanity. The weasel takes up most of the stage. Can you imagine that? What is... Oh, I see. It's a time limit. It's games like this that make you wonder if beating the game is worth it, even. Hey! Unfortunately, now we're on, like, a quick little challenge level. Still, that's actually a pretty cool effect where the, It's a pretty cool effect where the timer is represented visually with the... Dang. Yes. Whatever. Freaking monkey weasels. So, yeah. We've got a regular Arkanoid game, but the gimmick is time? I don't know. Okay. So, hey, that was pretty super effective. The, entire idea of just representing the timer visually, that's pretty cool. And I like that, in this game especially. Let's see, yeah, if you haven't noticed by now, throughout the weasel, the monkey, everything really. Wackiness is definitely this game's strong suit. Other things that are happening? Otherwise, it's like kind of a standard Arkanoid clone. Well, not really. Yeah, I guess you could say clone. And yeah, as like an extra little tinge of wackiness, have you noticed we're using hamsters for the balls? Dang, that's a lot of super scaling effects, though, so this must be about... Let's say early 90s. Cripes. Well, I will say this, it's making it really interesting to play. You know, the poor little weasel squirrel things just walk away. I think they look a little bit like Bidoops, but that wouldn't make any sense. Yeah, not a whole lot to say, except let's see where this goes. Because games like this, you know they're gonna peak after a while. Like, eventually they're gonna reach peak crazy, and after that, you just know there's no more crazy to be had. But this game, I don't know. I feel like it can get there. What just happened? Exciting! Can you imagine seeing this in arcades? That would be like a mind... Oh my god! Some games are a little bit conservative in their power-ups. I don't even think this game knows the meaning of the word conservative. That was amazing! This is the best Arkanoid game. I don't know. I'm actually willing to say that this is the best Arkanoid game I've played in a while. I've yet to play Arkanoid DS using the special Taito paddle controller, although I imagine if you were really into paddle controllers, you could just get a paddle controller for this one, hook it up. I haven't seen things that are specifically called paddle controllers, but evidently video editor people use the spin dials to quickly seek through their videos, so that's a thing that you can buy. And there's one on Amazon for like 40 bucks. I like the idea of a paddle controller, but I don't know if I like the idea that much. Oh my gosh, the Kid Fairy, we haven't seen that yet. Why do I have the feeling we will soon? And despite the insanely wacky tune, wow, that this game has developed so far, it's actually pretty challenging. I don't even think you can identify what power-ups you're gonna get beforehand. You just get a power-up and then something insane happens. Which, hey, there's nothing wrong with that in a video game. This is insanity. I love it. Oh, that's one heck of an event. And plus, the guy's moving fast enough, then he's like essentially on the entire screen at once. Yeah! The pinball outwitted me. What do you say? How would you top this guy? Oh, is it the next person? No, that can't be right. This is... man. Well, what's next?
Oh! Exciting!
You know what? It is exciting. Even if it's said somewhat in jest, somewhat in self-parody. That's pretty cool. It hasn't quite implemented any of, like, the more crazy complex things some Arkanoid-inspired, let's say, games do. Where, you've got, like, multiple tiers of multi-break bricks. And then eventually you get into this place where, only, okay, you start getting, like, ideal paths where, like, if the ball gets stuck in that place, then it's kind of invincible. Although, yeah, they're really helpful with the power-ups, because a lot of Arkanoid clones, they've got, like, a few power-ups, and, like, 2 or 3 of them are good. Whereas this game, like, basically all of them are pretty awesome. Huh. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, phew, I was a little bit afraid that it would just bounce right down, so it's like bounce, 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 you lose, bounce. Huh. Oh, this is bad. Although they do kind of sound like dominoes. Hey, come on. Work, dang you. I'm a little bit disappointed that they make you break, like, every single tiny little block.
Oh!
No.
Exciting!
Music... Actually, the music is ridiculously quiet. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. Like, even turning up all the way... And plus, too, the voices completely dwarf the music. Which is a little bit sad, because I really think that this game either has good music or it could definitely have good music. It seems like the kind of game that... Oh, so now you shoot from the left. But it seems like the kind of game that would... Seems like the kind of game that would have the nice, hot, peppy Japanese arcade game music. Also, am I crazy, or even though the stage is shrinking, the main man doesn't move? Yeah, he doesn't move. But the rest of the stage is moving around him. What's up with that? And just like most Arkanoid games, it eventually becomes unavoidable for you to, like, die 7 or 3 times in a level. Actually, now let's think about this.
Exciting!
So the level is like slowly squishing, so things are just kind of like slowly changing. Now, one problem with Arkanoid, like one of the biggest problems, is that it basically stays static. Like nothing ever really changes. But this game kind of like defeats that by constantly having the screen shrink. So then things are constantly changing. So if you think about it, not only is it a brilliant way of... Oh, Mini, come on, man. Not only is it a brilliant way of representing your time, but it also actively, dynamically affects the gameplay and changes it into something better.
Exciting!
This is, yeah, I can see it as being the best Arkanoid-inspired game in quite a while. Of course, at the end of the day, you're playing something like Arkanoid, and it's a little tiresome. And I mean, yeah, you've got the bright, explosive, fancy graphic things going on the side, but there's a certain point in time when it's just not going to do it for you. It's just a game. I mean, there's not a lot to say, even, and that should just kind of be indicative of, like, the rest of the game. It's kind of what you expect, but at the same time, it's exactly what you expect, and a little boring for it. Whoa, yeah, stuff is happening there. Oh yeah, and the addition of a jump mechanic, that doesn't significantly change the gameplay. Well, the challenge remains, can I beat this level? I'm gonna go with... Oh, I did. Unfortunately, I think that'll be about it. Water doesn't work like that. Oh, okay, that's pretty clever. So we're on the water-themed one, and the picture is a glass. Let's see if this has any sort of intro, but, hey. Alright. It was, like, super sensitive, because it thinks I'm using a dial, but I'm really using an arcade stick, so... Let's see if there's an intro, but, This game is for... Did you see that? This game is for use in Asia only, but it's in English. I guess that kind of makes sense, but still. Well, I'll say this much. If you're a fan of Arkanoid, and you love the gameplay style, and you, like, absolutely have to constantly play it, and you appreciate a wacky visual presentation, and you're not a big fan of music, I guess, then this game is pretty much the perfect game, I would say. If you do not fall into any of those broad categories, then maybe you could stand it for a while, but eventually you'll start questioning the meaning of life, and then you'll come out a little bit negatively. Oh, cool. So versus it is kind of a little bit of back and forth. That might be worth checking out, but for the rest of the game, pretty much plays about how you'd expect. So, on that note, this cat's got a scat.